first of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
What's going on, YouTube? Nathan back with another video presentation. Happy Taco Tuesday, y'all. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's staying safe. But before we get into the video, there's a few things I need to say up front. I will have an announcement at the end of this video regarding to season 3 of the podcast. In terms of today's episode, I'm going to briefly touch on a subject that I think is that caught my eye late last night, and that was kind of out of the blue. I did not forget. I will timestamp the episode going forward. Marcus, what's good, bro? I will timestamp the episode for y'all to see. Like, if you don't want me, if you want to just hear about football, baseball, basketball, I will timestamp that for y'all. I didn't finish the one from last episode, so please forgive me. I'm going back as best I can diligently with the timestamps. Real quick, tonight I'm going to talk about. Well, first I'm going to do a quick little tribute of Kobe's birthday. I'm going to cover. This is towards the end of the video. I'm going to cover the Washington Mystics. They played tonight and the other night against Seattle. So I'm going to cover both those games. That's going to be towards the end of the video. Preseason's coming. This will be the last week for preseason. So it'll be the Washington football team versus Baltimore this weekend. So that will be the end. Not sure yet of season 2. Still debating on a couple things, but that's probably going to be the end. This is probably the second to last video, depending on where I'm at and depending on if anything really comes up. But I'll hold that to the end of the video. But again, I appreciate the support that I have been getting on the channel. If you like the content that you're seeing, want to see more, consider hitting that subscribe button. Again, it's just much love, and I appreciate y'all. I don't know where this channel would be without y'all support, so I appreciate that. So, real quick, I know yesterday was Kobe's birthday. Just really was not. I just wanted to do a video yesterday, but I just really wasn't physically, mentally ready to do a video. So yesterday was Kobe Bryant's birthday. I know his birthday was yesterday. It's still kind of hard to grasp that he's not here. I'll never forget it. It was just a calm day, and I was actually going to see a relative in the hospital, and something came on my phone, and I was like, what? Like, is this true? Kobe Bryant is helicopter crash, died. I'm like, what? And this was Sunday. So it didn't really hit me until I saw on ESPN, and then later that evening where everybody started coming on TV, Stephen A., Rick Fox, so many people started coming on. So I'm like, whoa, this really happened. Kobe Bryant arguably is one of the best basketball players I ever saw growing up. I always admired his Mamba mentality. I think all of us have a little Kobe Bryant within us, and I think it was not what Kobe did on the court; it was off the court that should make everyone be a better person. I mean, him playing a role in getting the African American Museum in DC played a part in that being built. Just a humanitarian for basketball globally. Father. I know his daughter's going to, I want to say it's USC or UCLA. Just, it's unreal. I felt like Kobe was that glue that kind of held the world together. And then all of a sudden, it was like COVID happened. And I still really can't believe he's really not here. But it's just it's really amazing when you take a panoramic view of what someone has done in their career, and not just as a basketball player, but after. A guy like Kobe, we should appreciate that. I feel like he gets, by some, not all, there's not an appreciation of his greatness. We all, he was, egotistic. He and Shaq didn't get along. And I'm glad they settled that beef. Michael Jordan, him and Kobe. I mean, not him, him and LeBron. Excuse me. Kobe has influenced a lot of us, and I think we all have to take a moment to really appreciate what he's done for us. So I know yesterday was his birthday, and Kobe, rest in peace. Gianna, rest in peace. It's just unreal, still, honestly. But I'm gonna step away from that. I'm gonna start with baseball for today. The Baltimore Orioles are on pace to making history. It's the bottom of the eighth. It's 14-8 Anaheim Angels. We're gonna lose this game, folks. Oh my gosh! So they actually I see us breaking that 21 game losing streak back in 1988-89. I do. This team stinks. We made some moves. Franco was designated for an assignment. Richie Martin was optioned. We brought up Jamal Jones. And I mean, at this point, what am I supposed to say? I think it's fair. I think it's unfair to really. I can't point the finger at Brandon Hyde because he just doesn't have anything to work with. After we lost to the Devil Rays, which was 7-2, this was his quote: "We're not in many games, and that's hard. The one thing I was proud of that last couple years was a lot of our losses, we made it close. Right now, we're not even in the game." But right there, no, he sees the problem. We all see the problem. But this year, people, I really expected the Orioles to show some progress. I'd have said at least easily. Hendricks, what's going on, bro? The Orioles need some life. It's a wrap, Marcus. It's a wrap. The season's over after. No, it's a wrap. Easily, I could have seen this team win at least 70 games. You got to give me some better effort than that. And then, hey, Spikey, good to see you. Welcome. It's disgusting. But I will say this, though. I think in the brighter spot of things, the Baltimore Orioles have the number one ranked farm system across Major League Baseball. I think it shows a lot, the job that Mike Elias has done, because his farm system when he first came here was a train wreck. I felt like some of the trades that were made were horrible. And it really shows the progression. I think the team that is for years to come. I'm looking at Adley Rutchinson. I'm looking at Gunnar Henderson. I'm looking at the Colton from San Houston this past draft, and Kirsten when he comes back. There's so many prospects the Orioles have drafted, but just it's disgusting. They're gonna. I guarantee you, they're gonna really, really break that 21 game losing streak. I guarantee it because they're not going to beat Anaheim tonight. It's a wrap. They got to play the Angels tomorrow and then Thursday. Like, no. And then we got to play the Rays at home. Go to Toronto. They go to New York. No. No. I'm going to transition real quick into the Washington Nationals. So the Washington Nationals actually, they were playing the Florida Marlins. And I will say this, I've been kind of watching the game. I was watching a little off and off, on and off. So we won 5-1. Eric Fetty had 10 strikeouts tonight. Ryan Zimmerman he's tied for second for the most home runs against the Marlins, and that's 40. Number one is Ryan Howard. Lane Thomas, had a walk, RBI, and an outfield assist. The Marlins or Nationals are actually kind of the only team that's really keeping me entertained other than the Orioles because they're actually showing they're playing with effort. And, regardless, again, Max Scherzer's not there, Trey Turner's not there, they're still playing. And I know that the series against the Milwaukee Brewers, I was kind of expecting a little bit more better from the Nationals, but Christian Yelich in that third game just went off on us. So some step away from baseball. Well, not step away from, but some other news around the league. So I was reading this story, right? I kid you not. There was a pitcher back in the day, 1919, played for the Cleveland Indians. His name was Ray Cardwell. Was struck by lightning. It was 1 out away, hit by lightning, and then was unconscious for 5 minutes. Went back in and finished the game. Wow. How? I don't want to even know. I really don't. But the fact that he really was struck by lightning, came back and finished the game. Yes, I know. Ray Cardwell, Google him. I couldn't believe that. I was like, wow. Okay. There was some, in baseball in particular, in that time, you didn't have the helmets and stuff like that like you do today. And some guys actually got, getting hit, could potentially get hit in the head and die, sadly, from, getting hit, with the compound, like fractures, different things like that. So that was interesting. The great Yadier Molina, future Hall of Famer, signed a 1-year deal, $10 million with the St. Louis Cardinals. I think next year is going to be it for him. I kind of see him and Adam Wainwright walking in the sunset. Miguel Cabrera, I got to give him a shout out. Hit his 500th career home run, Hall of Famer. From the Florida Marlins to the Tigers, it's been amazing to see his career, how it's transpired. Another one, he's done it the clean way. Some of those guys on that list, we got to evaluate that home run list. Then also too, we got to talk about Major League Baseball's cat thing. They need to have a cat. Because I think to have all those guys sign those mega contracts is ridiculous. Yes, Ray Cardwell. I'll put his name in the chat for y'all. Ray Cardwell. The Orioles just unfortunately got to pay Chris Davis' contract out. Even though that's money off the books, that's great. But in hindsight, he's technically still getting paid. So I'm not comfortable guys getting 13, 14-year contracts and there's no salary cap. There's no salary minimum. There needs to be something like that for baseball. But let me step away from that. We'll talk about football real quick. I'm actually going to start with the Ravens. So the Ravens made some moves. I'm actually going to play a clip that involves. Actually, I'll hold on to that until I get to the NFL, to my NFL news topic. But the Ravens made a couple moves, not surprising, at least because we're trying to get the rosters down to 53, and with Trace McSorley out, I think they're okay with going with Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley for now. LJ Fort was placed on injury reserve. He tore his ACL. I'm kind of curious to see what Baltimore's going to do now that he's out. KJ Wright's out there. I'd take a shot at him. That's just me on a cheap deal. We cut Jordan Richards, Andre Smith, and Michael DeReyes. Michael DeReyes was his wide receiver because the guys we had just were injuries. So with a lot of guys coming back, and he really didn't do much. This wasn't happening. Jordan Richards is a special teams guy, but again, we have younger guys coming in there making a name for themselves, and he's an odd man out. And then Andre Smith, yes, we just signed him before we played the Tennessee Titans in 2019. He didn't play last year, and it just was like, nah, we're good. So that's what stood out to me. Now, I do think a couple things are going to happen. I'm still looking at some potential cuts. I think for the Ravens, I think we're going to end up cutting Ontario Alaka. I think he's great, but he hasn't practiced from what I've read, and he was out last year. If he doesn't play, he's probably going to be on injury reserve again. Greg Mancey is another one. I like Adrian Early. This boy, he actually could outplay Tyree Phillips. He's 6'7". It's a big boy. Offensive line. I like him. But again, we have Tristan Colin and Foster Sorrell. He's the odd man out. And again, I think Trace McSorley is going to go into injury reserve. But other than that, that's what's really going on in Baltimore. I'll talk about the Washington Football team real quick. We made some moves as well there. Hey, Lucinda, how are you? Good to see you. Washington Football team, we cut John Toth, and then we cut Jordan Brown, Rick Leonard, Justin Phillips, and Justice Reed. Again, the one I was actually surprised, we actually cut Steve Sims Jr. That was actually interesting. I felt like we gave up on him too soon. I don't get that, but it was kind of tough. So there's going to be some tough cuts after Saturday for Washington. That's what really just stood out. I mean, other than that, that's really what was going on. I really wouldn't be too worried about Curtis Samuel's injury, and I wouldn't be concerned about William Jackson's injury neither. I think by week 1 of the full regular season, they'll be ready to go. So I'm not going to panic about that. Not going to panic about that at all. For sure, they do. They have the wide receiver run. So, I mean, Adam Hunt, I guess he's. We'll see what happens after Saturday. But that was a tough cut. I was actually surprised by that. I'm gonna stick with NFL news. Just a couple things that stood out to me in the preseason. Jameis Winston is going to be the starter for the New Orleans Saints. I guarantee he's going to have a Pro Bowl year. I think it's really kind of disgusting to see that they're putting, and I get it. him and Taysom Hill, they're replacing the great Drew Brees. But I have to agree with Marcus Smart when he was saying this one on First Take. Drew Brees was holding the Saints back from what they could have been. And I believe that Jameis has the tools. He showed it when he was in Tampa, particularly the last year before they gave up on him. He has the tools to be a successful quarterback. I think coaching matters, and I think confidence. I just think when you have a coach that can get you to be great, Sean Payton is one of the best coaches in the game, and I feel like this is the guy I think they can get Jameis to what he can be. Now, him and Marquise Callaway, until Michael Thomas comes back, I think that's going to be a little 1-2. That's going to be a nice little duo. Trevor Lawrence had 113 yards. Great. But when the first team just had a field goal, they have two big rookie names yeah, right. You're right, Sean. Exactly. That can't happen. Now, I actually will say this. They did have it was a better performance in the preseason opener for Lawrence. I will say that. However, their offensive line, they need to get it together. They really do. I had to really look back at my notes and look at the stats. So let me make sure I had it right. Trevor Lawrence was pressured for 41%. Was pressured on 41% of his dropbacks against the Saints, and 30% of his dropbacks on this whole preseason was the second worst amongst QBs. And I was like, wow. Brandon Leonard didn't play. Cam Robinson didn't play. Andre Norwell didn't play. Injuries. And even with the first unit, they still didn't play well. And I mean, the only thing I say significant that might happen, I mean, you got Walker Little, but I think Jacksonville may actually kind of really, really struggle, and they should have really invested in more offensive line, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, they went with Travis Addermean, which was a really wild pick. I don't understand that. Why you would draft a running back when you had one already makes no sense to me. The Browns and the Bears, the Browns and the Giants, I think Daniel Jones, I think, is going to have a great year. I feel like there's more, again, this expectations. I get it. They're high for him. I like this Devontae Booker. I believe he's going to be the second running back behind Saquon Barkley. I mean, Saquon, I'm hoping that he will stay healthy. I think that if he can stay healthy, I think that goes a long way. I like that he ran the ball. And in the passing, he did really good in the passing game. He had 6 carries for 27 yards and a touchdown, and he had 2 catches for 13. Again, you have him right there if Barkley ever goes down. So I can't sneeze at that. I saw the Raiders and Chargers. That was a good game. Trey Lance had he stand out to me. He had 102 yards. He had 2 touchdowns in the pick. The pick was not. I wouldn't say it was a wild pick, but again, he started off okay. So this is how it happened. So he started off 1-6, and then for 9 yards, and then he threw the pick. That's what happened. And then he picked it up on his 7 of 8 passes for 93 yards with 2 touchdowns. That was actually pretty good. So again, that shows you that again, okay, he's picking up on the mistakes, and he redeemed himself. Now, I still believe. Good question, Sean. Let me see. Yeah, he's out for these 12 weeks. I know, it's crazy. Booker has started in the league. He's been solid, but he's been slept on for sure. I agree. Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill. It's Jameis Winston, Lucinda. Hands. It's without question. Jameis Winston. Trey Lance will start week 1. No. I will say midway, halfway, just like the Chicago Bears with Justin Fields, you'll find them starting. I believe they're going to. I believe it's going to be Jimmy that's going to start week 1. I feel like even with this preseason game, it really wasn't enough pressure on him, in my personal opinion. So I say about week 5, week 6, that's when you'll see him come in there. So yes, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, Lucinda. Chargers. They got a couple questions here. The biggest thing is their backup quarterback. So you had a guy by the name, we had some Eastern Stick. He was 10 of 14, 85 yards with a TD. And then Chase Daniel was 14 of 21 with 60 yards with a pick. So a little thing of Chase Daniel, I didn't know this, but he does have experience with Joe Lombardi and Brandon Staley. We will see what happens when they play those Sea Chickens. No, I'm just kidding, the Seahawks. We will see. Jimmy gets traded after the season release. Traded. I think if you're San Francisco, you get something for him. Yeah, I get something because you just like the Bears, you invested. So you got to get something for him. I can see honestly and truthfully if this is just me, but I felt like if the Patriots were a little bit more aggressive, they could have reunited with Jimmy Garoppolo, but neither here nor there. Cam Newton supposedly in the New England Patriots had a misunderstanding about the COVID protocols. So I was reading this article on CBS Sports, and it was pretty much saying that the front office is pretty much just, at this point, they're just kind of like, I don't want to use the word done. That contract may be a problem. Yes, I mean, they could ask him, would you like to take a pay cut? I mean, if he do, San Francisco will have to pay some of that contract for sure. Where did they trade him to? Why did they give him so early? I think because injuries, he's missed a good portion of he's missed a good chunk of games. I mean, the best of accountability is availability, and that's something that Jimmy G has not had since being in San Francisco. I think if you get a look on it back on paper, I feel like particularly against the Super Bowl, when they were not in the Super Bowl, when in the NFC Championship, they had an opportunity. And no, I know you're talking about Jimmy G, and I'm just saying he's missed a lot of games as a starting quarterback. The biggest thing is health. He can't stay healthy. So I think if you're San Francisco, you're kind of like, okay, well, we need to really start thinking about the future because your championship window's getting ready to close. Yes, he did, but since then, what have they done? I mean, let's look at the injury, Sean. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, with this article though, they're pretty much saying that, quote, an important member of the organization believes that this has opened a window for Mac Jones to start. And I mean, pretty much at this point, like we know what it is. Cam Newton is not. We know Cam Newton's not the same quarterback like he was a few years ago. And the Patriots want Mac. They drafted Mac Jones to be Tom Brady's successor. Okay, let's just call it what it is. Cam Newton is great, but he was never going to fit New England system. That's just it personally, in my opinion. It was just never going to work. As serviceable as Cam Newton has been, especially these past couple of preseason games, he's had a good performance, but I don't think it's enough. I think it's going to be Mac Jones starting. That's just my opinion. What What else? Oh, Josh Rosen is signed with the Atlanta Falcons because AJ McCarron's out for the season. And the Carolina Panthers and Robbie Anderson agreed to a 2-year deal worth $29.5 million. And then what else here? I saw it. Where was it? Okay, that's all right. I can't find it. No trade clause means future for the 49ers. Received is a 2-year, $21 million. The actual money is his finance contract. Jimmy G just needs to work on his deep ball accuracy, in my opinion. I agree, but I think front office has spoken. I feel like they're looking. I think they're looking towards the future. I don't think you can get much out of a guy who's missed more than he's played. In the Super Bowl, that was a couple years ago. We're talking about if we're talking about the NFL as a results-oriented league. Garoppolo has a no trade clause in his contract. If he ever came to that, Garoppolo could veto any deal he considers undesirable situation. I mean, I would see probably again New England, Houston, whatever we're going to do with the Deshaun Watson situation. I'm pretty sure he'd be okay to be in the backup quarterback. It wouldn't hurt if you're Jimmy G. So. Which brings me to my next point. I wanted to play this video, and I was very I was watching this thing on First Take, right? And it was something that I didn't realize it. I didn't know it was Harry Douglas on First Take, and it kind of slapped me in the face. I had to go back, and I'm like, did I hear that right? So I understand what the question is saying. Which NFL MVP with no rings has the most to prove? Okay, so obviously they put Lamar, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, and there was 14 of the quarterbacks that have MVPs and no Super Bowl rings. Well, I would like to say something about that. Now, what you're going to hear, again, we're all that we can be all that diverse in thinking, and I understand it, but just listen.
Question: This is not a quarterback. Cam Newton.
Can y'all let me know y'all can hear that real quick? Just anyone in the chat say, could y'all hear that audio? I'll play it again. Maybe y'all didn't hear it. Oh, great. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Which MVP with no ring has the most to prove?
Is this a trick question? It's Cam Newton by far. None of these other guys are competing for a starting job. Think about this. Let's do this logical deduction here, okay? Matt Ryan is a play-action quarterback. Take that away. Sometimes I'm looking at him going like, is this guy an NFL quarterback? But with play-action, he's pretty good. Well, and whether or not you think they should have moved on from him, they drafted him a weapon in Kyle Pitts, a couple of offensive linemen. It's his job. It's not like, is there a quarterback controversy in Atlanta? And then there's Lamar Jackson, who won an MVP not all that long ago, who got the monkey off his back, won a playoff game, who never shies away from that kind of thing. And again, it's not like the only question about Lamar is how big is the contract going to be, not whether, that's it. Those are the questions. It's not a quarterback. Cam Newton, Swaggo, you were on here a couple segments ago talking about Lamar won a playoff game, who won an MVP not all that long ago, who got the monkey off his back, won a playoff game, who never shies away from that kind of thing. And again, it's not like the only question about Lamar is how big is the contract going to be, not whether he's, that's it. Those are the questions. It's not a quarterback. Cam Newton, Swaggo, you were on here a couple segments ago talking about Mac Jones is going to get more starts than Cam Newton. Cam Newton by far has the most to prove out of this group right now?
For me, Max, I got to go with Lamar Jackson with the simple fact that Lamar Jackson, what's the bravado around Lamar Jackson, right? He needs to get better as a passer, right? So what did the Ravens do? They brought in Sammy Watkins, right? They drafted Rashad Bateman, who I'm very, very high on. They have Tyler Wallace as well to go with Hollywood Brown. But I'll tell you, it's two things that I want from Lamar Jackson and I need to see. Three things. I'm going to go three things. Number one, the fact that he hasn't beaten Patrick Mahomes yet. He needs to get that monkey off his back.
Good luck with that.
Number two, if the situation calls for it, I need him to win a playoff game with his arm. And then we go with number three. I want to see him win a Super Bowl. Those three things I want to see from Lamar Jackson, so that's why he's my pick.
It's Fagu.
I'm going to play with Marcus Bridge.
I know this is a debate show, but Harry know damn well Cam Newton under the most pressure. Like, what are we talking about? The most approved. The dude literally playing for his career. Max, all of the points that you made, I wanted to disagree with both of y'all because it would have been fun. But Cam Newton is under the most. He's on a week-to-week basis. First of all, let's just take this season by itself in context. Cam Newton is the only quarterback in this discussion that is on a week-to-week trial basis to keep his job. The other two going to start. Whether they play bad or they play good, they going to play the rest of the season. The second thing is this. Cam not only playing for his starting job in New England, he's playing and auditioning for other teams that need a quarterback at some point during the next couple years. Even next year, potentially, Cam will be on another roster. That's why the conversation earlier about Mac Jones and Cam Newton, and we ran out of time. Mac Jones was drafted 15th to be the future of the New England Patriots. Guess who know that, fellas? Cam Newton knows that. So Cam is auditioning for other teams that may be looking for the services of a quarterback as well. So not only is he trying to keep a starting job in New England, he's also trying to show other teams around this league that I can still play at a level that we can win with.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. So there's a couple of things I wanted to address. The first thing I wanted to address was with Harry Douglas. Here, that not got the monkey off his back. Yes, I heard it loud and clearly said that. So he brought up that, particularly Lamar Jackson, he has to beat Patrick Mahomes, win a playoff game with his arm, win a Super Bowl. I agree he needs to win a Super Bowl. I agree with that. I agree that he needs to get better as a passer. Even though he threw 36 touchdowns in the year he won MVP, people gloss over that, but that's neither here nor there. He has to beat Patrick Mahomes. Let me ask you a question. Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, in the same conference, we talk about this is a results-oriented league. Josh Allen has one more playoff win than Lamar Jackson. Baker Mayfield lost to the Chiefs. They beat the Steelers in the wild card. But didn't the Cleveland Browns face Patrick Mahomes? So he has to. So why? How come Baker Mayfield doesn't have to beat Patrick Mahomes? How come Josh Allen doesn't have to beat Patrick Mahomes? See, like this, this is what bothers me. Now with Lamar Jackson, I mean, we didn't get to Matt Ryan, but with Lamar Jackson, now they're finding any random excuse or any other little random thing to say to just continue to just go with Lamar. Like he has to do this. Now he has to beat Patrick Mahomes. Are you serious? The man is 30-7 as a starting quarterback. I believe pretty much the same record like Patrick Mahomes. Don't say that about Josh Allen. You don't say that about Baker Mayfield. And we're talking, and again, go back to what I was saying. This is a results-oriented league. They were in the playoffs last year, all three quarterbacks. That's a fact. You can bring up, well, the Cleveland Browns were trash, the Buffalo Bills were trash. That was it. We're talking about now. Results-oriented league. Now, what about let's because the way that the question that's framed which NFL MVP? What about which quarterback has most to prove? We don't talk about Matthew Stafford, who got traded to the San Diego Chargers. We don't talk about him. How come he's not had the most to prove? Matt Ryan hasn't done anything since they blew that 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. We don't talk about that. Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott. I could go on and on. We don't talk about these guys. But to me, Lamar Jackson is always an excuse. I get Lamar has to win a Super Bowl. But what about Josh Allen? What about Dak Prescott? What about Deshaun Watson? Don't think of Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford got 2 $100 million contracts in Detroit. And they stink. Now, before you go, well, he's on a team where they got arguably the best defense in the game. Okay, that's great. Lamar Jackson, last time I checked, we had a late lead against the Chiefs. Last time I checked, Lamar Jackson doesn't play defense. I'm looking at it like this. And there was another list of like top 10 quarterbacks or whatnot, top 10 players. Now, and there was a couple guys I was surprised that were left off this list. Let me see if I can find it. I saw it. Give me a second. Okay. Here it is. So here's the list. Let me share it. Thank you. Here's the list of top 10 players, right? Nope, and that's why they have this alphabetical order. Now, for the most, I agree with this list, right? Russell Wilson should be on this list. As much, as great as Russell Wilson is, Russell Wilson I feel bad for him. I do. Because I really wish they invested in some offensive line protection. That's why they need to sign Dwayne Brown. Even though he has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. That man runs for his life. Lamar Jackson. Now, this is one by the NFL. Now, again, this is no hate. I'm looking at Dak Prescott, maybe Deshaun Watson, Lamar. J.J. Watt was on this list. Derrick Henry, I mean, after that performance in the wild card against Baltimore, interesting. Well, DeAndre Hopkins is an elite wide receiver. There's no doubt there. But Josh Allen, no question. Aaron Donald's the best defensive lineman in the game. Aaron Rodgers, up until that horrendous performance in the NFC Championship game against against Tampa, I don't have an issue with that. And then T.J. Watt, he's going to be part of a young core in Pittsburgh. I have no problem with that. I think this is an accurate list of top 10 players in the NFL. But I really think, Russell Wilson should have been considered, and maybe Lamar Jackson. That's just me, my opinion. Sorry, my power went up. That's all good. I think this is the list from last year. Russ slipped, but it wasn't his fault. No, it wasn't his fault. Ran for 2,000 yards in the passing league. Yes, I agree with that. But just saying, I mean, if we're going by, I say drop Kelsey or Henry and put Russell on that list. Okay, I agree with that. Lamar was up for a couple games due to COVID. Yes. I mean, it was an interesting list. I just can't. And Sean, real quick, Sean, this is the list for this season. This season. So I just want to let you know this was for this season. This is not last year. This is this year's season. Because I don't know. I feel like this is a popularity contest, and it's always ESPN makes those weird lists. It's the same thing with the NBA. I thought that was crazy. But was it based on last year's performance? Yes, it was. 2,000 yards is almost impossible in today's game. Yes, I agree with that. It is impossible. It is impossible. Okay, so I'm not going to keep y'all long. So I got a couple more topics, and then we're going to end the podcast. But I'm going to do something at the end. I think y'all going to like it. Let me find that real quick. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, I found it. Now, I'm going to transition real quick into the NBA news. There was a couple things that did occur. Not that much, like as Lucinda, shout out to Lucinda in the chat. She already had talked about it. Let me find it real quick. The Celtics gave Josh Richardson a 1-year extension, possibly with the intention of trading him. I think that's kind of – I feel like Brad Stevens is up to something. I don't really know what's going on with Washington. I feel like they're trying to get Bradley Beal and Jason Tatum to play together. If it happens, it happens. It doesn't hurt. I mean, the Celtics are trying to get another star in Boston, and I feel like it's gonna be Bradley Beal. J.R. Smith, congratulations. He will play. He enrolls at North Carolina A&T. He's going to play golf. That's interesting. I wish him all nothing but the best as he starts his college journey at North Carolina. I'm sure he'll do well as a golfer. Jared Dudley is now a member of the Dallas Mavericks coaching staff. I think that's going to be really good for the Mavericks, especially with alongside Jason Kidd and now Chrissy Tolliver and a couple other guys. I think that's going to really help him out with that. Mike Budenholzer got a 3-year extension with the Milwaukee Bucks. I feel like, again, I think I can't speak for everybody, but I think I was hard on Mike Budenholzer the most, particularly with his coaching changes. His lineup changes and him being assertive and not being aggressive, not being the coach that we know he could be. I mean, he showed he can win. He can take a team. The Atlanta Hawks, when he was in Atlanta, he won 60 games, even though he lost to LeBron James. I feel like this year, I think, he did something that he took a team where you didn't need to have all the best players in the world to win a championship. And I think it's a well-deserved contract. Nerlens Noel is suing Rich Paul, basically stating that Rich Paul held money from him and felt like he didn't represent him better enough. And I was like, wow. Because it's saying in the article that I read, it was saying that he was represented by, at the time, he was Nolan's agent was Happy Winter Walters. And Rich Paul told Noel that he was $100 million man. That's the article. It's a quote. And he said, if you terminate your contract with your current agent, I can get you $100 million. And unfortunately, he did that. He went to Dallas, that would have paid him at the time a 4-year deal, $70 million, but instead took a 1-year deal for $4.1 million. Now, that's fucked up. Excuse my language. I I don't really know what to say on that one. I mean, again, anyone that Rich Paul, LeBron, no, I just don't. I hope that it all works out. Nolan Snell was a good player, and he's another one. He should have stayed in Kentucky for at least 2 years. I felt that when he came out, he wasn't ready. I think he actually missed the first year of his rookie year because he was injured, and I think he would have benefited staying in college. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, you can't tell a lot of these guys anything, but that's neither here nor there. Ben Simmons is threatening to hold out. Marcus can attest to this, and Shot to Cam and Martin and Elliott, they can attest to this. Ben Simmons is a good player. For you to hold out and I don't see you're willing to sit out if you don't. So he wants to sit out if the Sixers don't trade him. Me personally, I look at it like this: let him sit out. Really, he should have been traded right after they lost the Atlanta Hawks. I would have been on the phone. I would have been on that phone. Ben Simmons, listen, it's not going to work. After going back and looking at the tape and looking at the footage, listening to all the interviews, you can't fix it. You can't fix something that's already broken, people. I mean, he's a good player, but I don't think he really understands the tools of what it takes to be a great player. I don't think he understands that. I mean, to be a great player, you have to learn how to shoot the ball. You don't have to be one of the Curry brothers or Reggie Miller. I mean, all these videos I've seen on Twitter of him in the gym, that's cute. Where is that on the basketball court is my question. And we shouldn't be now at a guy's career 5 years talking about is Ben Simmons going to shoot the ball today? That's like me saying, like, for example, Lamar Jackson. Well, Lamar Jackson, this is to be year 4. No, year 4? Year 4. I haven't seen you throw the ball, Lamar. Like, what's going on? Like, if all you're going to do is run the ball, you're not a quarterback. And if you're a quarterback and you are afraid to throw the ball, something's wrong with that. Because guys can get their games fixed. It can be fixed. But with a guy like Ben Simmons, no. You can't fix that. You know what I think this is? I think he wants to be the man. I think he wants to be on the team where he doesn't feel like he is under any pressure. You're playing alongside one of the best big men in the game, in Joel Embiid. You're the second best player. You signed that max contract. If you don't hold out, it's selfish. But again, you're getting millions of dollars. That don't motivate you to be a better player. Like Elliott said in episode 6, episode 7, when he was on here as a special guest. But it's neither here nor there. So I wish that's disgusting. But really quick, I'm going to try and stick with basketball, but I'm going to transition to the WNBA, and we're going to close it out with a couple things. So it happened. So the Washington Mystics today, it was announced that Emma Mason will not be returning for the rest of the season. Sad face, but it's all good. I figured something was up, and it wasn't going to happen because she was overseas, and I think between that and the Olympics and then coming back here, I think it was just too much for her. So this was according to Coach T, quote, "The whole summer I thought and believed I would join the Mystics again after the European Championship and the Olympics. But it turns out the only right decision I made is to take some extra time for myself," Meesman said in the Mystic statement. "I wish it was different because everyone knows I love the Mystic family, and DC will continue to be my home away from home. I wish the team all the best and be rooting for them like I always have." I mean, really, honestly, ever since last year, not just Emma, but a lot of these girls, ever since they were in the Wubble in Orlando, they're competing nonstop. A lot of them had to go overseas and make money because, again, once the season here is done, they got to go to Turkey or Japan, France, Spain, all over the place. And I don't blame her. I mean, my only concern is, I think she's a free agent after this season. So, I mean, to commit to commit to playing overseas for the European Championship and then the Olympics and then come back, that's a lot on your body as an athlete. So, I feel like, whenever I feel like I do see her back, next season, because again, I feel like this season, in my personal opinion, is a wash. So, tonight, I'm going to real quick talk about so we lost against the Storm, and Deladon came back. It was her first game in over 600 days, over 2 years. Wow. I couldn't believe that when I was like 625 days, because she's recovering from 2 back surgeries. So in the last video, I played the clip where you could just look at Coach T's face. The man was happy. It was like opening a present at Christmas. So we lost 85-78. I think the biggest thing was just great to see her out there. Her and Tina Charles are going to be the best combo for sure. Tina Charles had 20 points. She had 9 rebounds in that game. Again, up until tonight, their offense struggled. They just shot under 37% from the field. Deladon had 16. She only played 22 minutes. We actually had cut it down to – we actually had the lead. And he kept taking her in and out the game. I don't really understand what that was. I get it. It's to just get her feet wet. She was on minutes restriction. So, and also to the Seattle Storm, we're here in Washington. They got to present their jersey at the White House. I don't even think the Mystics even did that. No, they didn't. I could be wrong. No. They didn't even present their jersey from 2019. But I understand why, because we all know the reasons why. Because I'm not going to say it, but we all know the reason why they did not want to go to the White House. So that was really it. I mean, unfortunately, it was great to see her out there. But that was probably for me the highlight of the game. So we lost 4 straight games, and at the time until tonight, where we beat the Los Angeles Sparks, we had these girls 40-balled in the first half, and then fourth quarter came. Well, let me not get ahead of myself. So the final score was 78-68. We held the Sparks in the first half alone to under 33% from the field. They had shot 35 once the game was over. I mean, the fourth quarter, I don't really understand what the Mystics were doing. The Mystics shot 44% from the field overall, but they shot 55% in the first half. And again, there was to see a 37-point lead just diminish into a 10-point lead like that. We're taking bad shots. We're turning the ball over. We're not. Again, we should have had a killer instinct. The score should not have been 78-68 tonight. That's my opinion. Because they didn't want it. Again, like I said, a lot of it is just inconsistent scoring. I can't emphasize, again, when you had 4 players in double-digit scoring, that's great. But look at the rest of these girls, and I'm just saying something is going to have to change with this team next year. I just cannot see some of these girls staying. I think it's going to be a kind of a brand new roster. It was also great to see Chiney Ogwumike back on the field, on the court, and Nneka, from last week. So it's last game. So it's great to see them both back on the court. For sure. I mean, your leading scorer for the Sparks was Nick Coffey with 15. But Derek Fisher almost got ejected. I don't know what happened. Something must have happened, but must have got a call. And he's literally standing like on the court ready to throw hands on the referee. And Fred Williams and Simone Augustus had to hold him back. I wish I could show that clip. But it was a good win, a much needed win. So we play those Dallas chicken wings, Dallas wings, I think the key for the Mystics to win this game is they're going to have to D up on Arike Ogunbowale. She had 14 points in the last game. You know, she's a kid, and she's not alone. Marina Mabry, Alicia Gray, they got shooters. And the Mystics are going to have to work on committing less turnovers. They're going to have to commit on hitting shots and playing in transition defense and slowing down Dallas's scoring. The only thing that I find that was really just kind of weird the last time we faced the Wings, we lost, was the same thing that I've been pointing to the whole season so far. Is we don't have it's inconsistent scoring. Like we're lacking certain things. And I think a lot of it is pace. Like we got to play at our pace. And tonight was a good example of that. If we play at Washington Mystic pace, I think we'll be all right. But when you're seeing inconsistent scoring, 1 of 6 from the field, 3 of 5, 3 of 7, that's not going to win you the game. And especially when you have only 2 scores in double digits. That can't happen if you're Washington going against Dallas. So it was a big win for sure for the Mystics tonight. I was really happy to see that. And shout out to John Wall. John Wall was at the game tonight too, so it was great to see him there. I need to go to a Mystic game before the season's over, actually. Tamika Catchings was inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, arguably one of the best guards in the game. She WNBA champion, MVP, 10-time All-Star, 7-time All-First NBA team, 5 All-WNBA second team, 5-time Defensive Player of the Year. She was an 8-time steals leader, Rookie of the Year, all-time steals leader, all-time playoff leading scorer, rebound scoring, and steals leader. So much deserves, and it's funny, I didn't know that she and Kobe Bryant actually kind of grew up together. So that was that's cool. So she's one of the best. All did it with Indiana Fever. So that was kind of interesting. Congratulations to Tamika Catchings for getting in the Hall of Fame for sure. I can't wait to see the next group of women that go in the Hall of Fame for sure. Really quick, I want to talk about some of the WNBA rookies. I was reading this article, and I'll touch on this next episode. It's been kind of challenging to see some of the rookies have been struggling, and it's been kind of interesting. So next episode, I will talk about that. And I'm going to talk about my top 5 MVPs for the WNBA, and then we're going to close it out with 2 more segments, and then I got a video for y'all to see. So obviously, for me, MVP is the most valuable player. Statistically, the season that you're having, and I think the impact that you have on your team and how you're doing it. These are my 5 MVP candidates. I have a rank from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and who I think is going to be the MVP in my personal opinion. So, number 5, Tina Charles, Washington Mystics. Tina right now at the moment is averaging 26, 10, a block, 2 assists, 1 steals, and shooting 55% from the field. Last year did not play in the last season because of COVID. Arguably, you could say she's a scoring champion. not expect her to. We didn't know. I didn't know what it was going to be like for her to come back. Okay, and again, Mystics this season, amid the injuries that we've had, that have just completely just kind of tore the roster to shreds. Tina stepped up. She stepped up big time this year. Now, this is her third best season as far as shooting percentage. And the second is the 2012, 2010, and then this year. The 2012 is when 2010 when she won Rookie of the Year, and 2012 when she got MVP. Her also was her highest percentage of 3-point shooting, which was 38% from per game. The 30% of threes, she was shooting 5 attempts per game. I'm looking at her. I'm looking at the team. I mean, the Washington Mystics, yeah, they won tonight, but if you look on paper, if the playoffs started today, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're just not. That's just a fact. And Tina Charles is only one player that can only do so much. And I feel like this season, regardless of her being a scoring champion, is all a wash. It's not a wash. It's just let me rephrase that. It's hard to have such a great year, and this is the result of it. So, number 4, Nafisa Collier from that wonderful school in Connecticut. She's averaging 17 per game, 6 rebounds, a block and a half, 3 assists, 1 steal, and shooting 54%. Nafisa Collier has played a role in where the Minnesota Lynx are. I think the Minnesota Lynx, the Seattle Storm, and the Connecticut Sun have all separated themselves to show that they're legit contenders for the championship, in my personal opinion. This is her highest career so far in the 3 years she's been in the league. She's also leading the league in minutes. At the time when she came from overseas, the Lynx were 1-4. And since then, they haven't looked back. So, again, Rookie of the Year. Now she's an Olympian. And who knows? Potential future MVP. Number 3, A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson, this was tough. She's the current reigning MVP. I think to carry that team last year to the bubble, to the finals. Well, one could make an argument if De'Arica Hamby doesn't get hurt. I think they won the championship, in my opinion. A'ja's averaging 19, 9, a block and a half, 3 assists, and a steal. Yes, they're the best team, the Las Vegas Aces. I don't know. Any team that's Las Vegas doesn't make any sense. The Las Vegas Raiders, and they want to move the Oakland. Let me get off that. Let me get off that bandwagon. I apologize. She's the focal point of that team. There's just no question. They finished with the best record last year, and they're on pace to do the same thing this year. I think it's just not her ability as a scorer, but it's also she's a great rim protector. Could she do it? I still think she can. I just think A'ja Wilson, kind of South Carolina. Her and both Alana Coates, to me, were going to be great players in this game. That's just my opinion. But again, A'ja is an Olympian, and she's the fastest player to score 2,000 points so far. So this list could change. Number 2, Brianna Stewart. This was tough. Brianna's averaging 29, 1 block, 3 assists, 1 steal. Over this past year, her resume speaks for itself. Not only did she win the finals last year, she was the finals MVP last year. She won a EuroLeague championship in Europe, Final Four MVP, then was also in the Russian Premier League. She's champion. Gold medal this past a few weeks ago. That's a lot. Brianna Stewart is one of the best in the game right now. And I think we're seeing her in her prime right now. And I think it's, again, we're talking about greatness, and I think we got to appreciate it. I mean, she's third in points per game, fifth in rebounds, third in blocks across the league. And so far right now, the standings, let me pull that up. They are 18-8. They're the third best team in the league, across the league. So, and then last but not least, my MVP for this year is Jonquel Jones. I think she's having the best year of her career so far. Yes, again, you know, she missed 5 games. She missed 5 games this year because she was overseas. That hasn't stopped her from playing. She's averaging 21 a game, 11 rebounds, 1 block, 3 assists, 1 steal, shooting 64.5% from the field. DeWanna Bonner, Brianna Jones, Jonquel Jones, this notion that bigs can't win, can't thrive in this type of system of basketball. They're proving that wrong. She is she reminds me of a female. She's Kevin Durant to me. She's 6'6". You know, she is shooting 53% from the field and 42% from 3. And she's currently leading the league in rebounds, and it was also named as All-Star this is her 3rd time being announced as an All-Star. And she leads the Suns in, I looked it up, 4 or 5 categories: points, rebounds, steals, and blocks. I can't take that away from her. I think Jonquel Jones is your 2021 WNBA MVP. So that was my 5 list, and this list could change. It could change, but I mean, we're kind of coming down to the end of the season. That we got about 10 games left of the season. So, congratulations, real quick. I want to send congratulations to Jackie MacMullan, ESPN. She's retiring. Well deserved. Probably one of the best columnists for ESPN. Her articles are always great to read. My favorite book by her, When the Game Was Ours, we was talking about Magic and Bird. That's a good book. I actually recommend everyone to actually read that. And again, man, it's just another, you know, great journalist. She will be in the Hall of Fame for sure. So I just wanted to congratulate her on that. Max Kellerman is leaving First Take. No, seriously. So apparently there was this rumor going around that Stephen A. wanted Max Kellerman off, and I feel like that was ESPN. Because actually Max Kellerman's last day on First Take was today, actually. I personally, the last couple years, it just really wasn't going to work. It just really wasn't working. And I feel like, you know, ESPN is gearing towards, they're built like Stephen A. is the man. He's the guy. And he got, you know, he's getting $12 million a year. So the $60 million contract. And, you know, I think the goal, you see, because he was on the Jimmy Kimmel show last night. So we already know what his ultimate goal is, to have a late night talk show. And with Max, I get it. I mean, some of the things that Max Kellerman says, it makes no sense. When he said that Kawhi Leonard was more clutch than Kobe Bryant, my jaw hit the ground. Like, what? Or the Tom Brady cliff thing, where Tom Brady's going to fall off a cliff. Tom Brady has a ring. Or just a recent video where they had Kendrick Perkins and Jeff Saturday. Which is harder to win, an NBA championship or an NFL championship? And in the same sentence, he said they're both equally hard. And we're like, what? But from what I was reading, I was reading in the New York Post. Stephen A. said that he wasn't the smartest guy in the room attitude. That's what I read, and Stephen A. wants somebody like Skip. And I think a lot of it, and that's kind of lets me know, like, wow, because he said that he advocated for Max to be on the show when Skip left, because Skip left ESPN to go be with Shannon, and I'm gonna talk about Skip Bayless. There was something that caught my eye, so I'm gonna save that for next episode. But from what I'm understanding, Max is going to join Keyshawn Johnson's Rick Talk Show. He's going to be replacing Zubin, he's on a medical leave, so that's going to start next month, and he's also going to get he's going to get a TV show that's going to start at 2:00, which has Jalen and Jacoby and highly questionable, which is kind of weird. But I mean, honestly and truthfully, like, I don't know, with ESPN, it's kind of been hard to like really watch it the last few years because it's become political watching ESPN. But at the same time, unfortunately, politics has creeped in, has unfortunately gotten into sports. Politics gets into anything, and we all have to talk about it, whether we like it or not. So, there were some other things that happened too, like Chris Canty. I think he's leaving ESPN. It's supposed to be Shanae is supposed to have an expanded role where she's going to talk about the NBA and more college hoops. She actually did a good job with the NBA draft coverage. I will say that. But we all know. I mean, listen, Stephen A. got his wish, so I'm kind of curious to see who his debate partner is going to be. Could it be Skip Bayless? I don't know. So that was interesting for sure. Season three of my podcast. Like I stated, it will start at the beginning of week 1 of the NFL season once preseason comes to a close. We've gotten 3 seasons into the podcast. I can't believe that. At first I was like, when I look back, I'm like, wow, I've done 3 seasons of this. This is amazing. So I will let you know. You'll see when season 3 has debuted, but I'll let you guys know in the next video when it has debuted. So with that being said, we're going to close it out with a video. I thought this was really good. I was talking about the great Kobe Bryant. He was speaking. Again, just to continue, just to pay homage. Yesterday was his birthday. So with that being said, I hope y'all have a great week. You'll probably see me. You'll see me on Saturday because the Washington football team plays the Baltimore Ravens. And again, I talked about then you'll just see a video from me Saturday. But I hope you'll have a great week. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay up. I'm out. Peace. Stay up.
First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
I always think that there's 2 types of players who love to win and players who hate to lose. Which one are you?
I'm neither.
Meaning?
Meaning that, I play to figure things out. I play to learn something, right? Because I think if you play with a fear of failure, or you play with the will to win, or that supersedes the fear of failure, I think it's a weakness either way, right? Because if you play with the fear of failing, you'll have the pressure on yourself to play, to capitulate to that fear. If you play with the sense of I want to win, then you have the fear of what happens if you don't. But if you find common ground in the middle, in the center, then it doesn't matter. You're unfazed by either, right? And that enables you to really just stay in the moment, stay connected to it, and not feel anything other than what's in front of you. So I try to just be dead center.
So a lot of people in general are afraid of failure. How did you become one of those people who doesn't seem to be afraid of failing?
Failures, it doesn't exist. It's not existent. What the hell does that mean? Seriously, what does failure mean? It's not, it doesn't exist. It's a figment of your imagination. What does it mean?
You're pulling a Jedi mind trick on me right now. I was like, does it exist?
No, I'm serious. I'm trying to think, how can I explain it? So let's use happy endings, right? And then we can relate this to failure, why it's not existent. Everybody talks about, everybody wants a happy ending, right? Now let's go to the reality of it, right? Let's look at a fairy tale story. Let's look at Snow White. Mm-hmm. She gets a happy ending. She finds Prince, whatever, she goes on. She lives happily ever after. Well, I call bullshit on that, because 2 months later, the fact is they had an argument and he's sleeping on the couch. Right? So the point is, the story continues. The story continues. So if you fail on Monday, the only way it's a failure on Monday is if you decide to not progress from that, right? So to me, that's why failure is not existent. Because, if I fail today, okay, I'm going to learn something from that failure, and I'm going to try again on Tuesday. And I fail, and I'm going to try again on Wednesday. So it doesn't exist.
You know what? Should my ratings go in the tank? That's exactly what I'm going to say to the bosses. Hey, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but you know what?
We should try it again on Thursday.
If your ratings go in the tank, and which they won't, but if they did, you had learned a valuable lesson. You had learned a bunch of ways of how not to make a show that sucks. So then the next one would be better than the last one, right?
So are you telling me then, let's just say all the career statistics that you've compiled, they all still exist, still play for the Lakers, still, and all of that still happens. If you finished your career without a championship, you would not have looked at that as a failure?
No, I would have looked at it as being extremely disappointed, because I had a dream and I had goals that I wanted to accomplish, right? And if I don't accomplish those goals, I have to ask myself why, right? So from my position, the reason why I would not have accomplished those things is poor leadership, failure to communicate properly with my teammates to put them in positions to be successful, lack of preparation, all those things would be reasons why I don't win, right? So now, if that was the case, and in my career, I have to sit and I have to analyze that. And then as I move and I evolve, post basketball into business or whatever, those same weaknesses are going to reveal themselves there, right? So I don't learn from that. I'm going to struggle here too, right? So I can take those situations and learn from those and have them, make me a better person later in life. But if I don't take that stuff and apply that someplace else, then that's failing, which to me is the worst possible thing you could ever have, is to stop and to not learn.
So Kobe has created.
First of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and tell me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find, but I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys that they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.